All right, we got a pretty big card to go over. We did a separate show on the Tre Young trade, so if you want to hear more about that, you can go that direction. Short version, kind of a whole lot of nothing. I am Dan Bespers. Welcome to Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. Big Wednesday coming in hot. We got lots of injury replacement guys to talk about coming out of Wednesday. That's the big story of the day for sure. And some of these guys are posting robust lines that we can enjoy together, I hope. This show, of course, is brought to you by FanDuel and the FanDuel Sportsbook, as well as the Believe network of podcasts. And without further ado, oh, you know what? One more ado. Like, rate, and subscribe. I'm trying to get one new subscriber per episode. That's the goal of the month of January. That's how we're tracking everything right now. So the one new sub month, please let it be you today. YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, whichever one you're listening on, be that one new subscriber on today's show. Follow over on Twitter at Dan Bespers. And yeah, I think that's the end of it. Wait, I just got some sort of weird upgrade that happened. As I'm podcasting, I get an alert that my Spectrum account got upgraded. I didn't click anything. Hoping to we'll do the pod, then I'll go back and see if somebody's hacked my account and upgraded all my stuff. Detroit beat Chicago. Bulls, of course, are pretty damn short-handed. Kobe White was resting this one. Josh Giddey, Jalen Smith still out. So you got a pretty good line out of Modest Buzelis. You got a very hot shooting game from Ayo Dosunmu, although he didn't do much besides the 24 points and 4 3-pointers. That's why I remain in the streamer land on Ayo. Tre Jones shot the ball poorly, but did have 7 rebounds and 12 assists to kind of buttress his game. And then I thought Kevin Huerter might have a slightly better one here, but he also shot poorly and ended up with 8, 3, and 4. So go ahead. And with Huerter and Ayo, I wouldn't worry too much about those guys. They're stream-level dudes, especially with Kobe White likely to play in the second half of the back-to-back. Modest Buzelis, Nikola Vucevic, and Tre Jones are the 3 Bulls that you're playing in all formats right now. Tre being one of the burger guys that I was just talking about at the beginning of the show. But we got a lot of games to get through, so try to stay with me here. We're going to go kind of fast. Isaiah Stewart finally had that big game that we've been waiting on. You knew it was coming at some point. I don't know if this was the exact stat line that I thought we were going to see out of him with only 3 rebounds, but 31 points, 2 threes, a steal, 2 blocks. This is a guy that I've been screaming about since the second that Tobias Harris went down with an injury. He's actually top 120 on the season now, but if you're just looking at lately, number 66 over his last 4 ball games. The blocks are the thing that's really floating it for Stewart, so make sure he's in all lineups right now. The other player that I thought was kind of interesting, and there's something blowing around near my eye, so apologies for that, is Paul Reed, who had 9 points, 6 boards, 6 assists, and an assist and a 3-pointer. He hasn't been getting any blocks as more the power forward on this group than the center. I'm inclined to keep rolling with Reed while he's getting full starters minutes. He's like just outside the top 100 despite not really blocking any shots, and I feel like some of those are probably going to come. With the caveat, of course, being that Jalen Duren is apparently not that far away. So if Duren comes back, obviously you yank Paul Reed out of your lineup in a heartbeat. But for right now, I think he's not a massive upside guy, but we know that he puts up pretty good fantasy numbers when he gets playing time, and he's getting that right now. The other name to consider here is Daniss Jenkins. Cade Cunningham sat this one out. Jenkins shot 1 for 8, but he had 15 assists as the distribute first, second, third, and fourth point guard. Jaden Ivey actually got the start at point guard, but it was mostly Daniss Jenkins. I mean, it's a little risky because of him coming off the bench. If Ivey had a better ball game, then that might have blown that one up. Probably best to leave that one alone, but if you badly need to point guard stuff and if Cade misses another ball game, that's how you get through it. I do think there's a chance that Cade sat this one out because they were like, well, we're playing the Bulls without all of their guys except Vooch. Surely we can squeak through, and they did. But otherwise, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Cade is more banged up than we thought, but whatever. Wizards got blown out by Philly. No CJ McCollum in this game, obviously. He's part of the Tre Young trade. And so we got a little bit of a look at what the Wizards might be Well, they were also missing Keyshawn George, but a little bit of what the Wizards might be if Trae Young comes in and doesn't really play. Alex Sarr, obviously a guy that needs to be started in all formats. I'm not that interested in Malachi Branham unless he grabs a starting job. Tre Johnson had 20 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, a steal, and a couple of three-pointers on good percentages. The issue there is that the percentages are not likely to hold just based on what we've seen so far this year. He's what are his season-long numbers on shooting percentages? 46 from the field. I guess the free throw has been pretty damn good so far this season, so maybe that's the one that sticks. But he's not going to be like a 53% guy from the field. We've also really not seen Tre Johnson get any assists to speak of, or frankly, rebounds. The fact that he got 5 boards and 3 assists here was extremely high for him. I think I would treat Tre more as a points league kind of guy. Like, he's probably going to get some shots up. He's probably going to score a little bit, and maybe other things start to come around a little. But if Trae Young is out, the main point guards, plural, I guess, are Bub Carrington, who I would probably add in all head-to-head leagues, but not Roto. So put that one on the list as well for things that happened last night. And then Branham, who played 31 minutes, but I don't think that's going to happen daily. Justin Champagnie got some extra playing time because no Chris Middleton. He might see an uptick just because McCollum was more of a shooting guard, small forward, and Trae Young coming in is obviously a point guard. And I'd love to have a reason to roster Justin Champagnie. To me, just that Chris Middleton on again, off again makes it a little bit tougher. Champagnie, let's do this while I'm on air before I forget about it. Where are you, Justin Champagnie? I have him in the streamer zone on a lot of my boards. I'm actually going to shift him over to the stash table. I think if we see what I think we're going to see, which is the Wizards phasing out any remaining veteran, meaning mostly Chris Middleton at this point, that would mean that there should be enough left for Champagnie. So it's Keyshawn George, I think, takes Tre Johnson's spot, but maybe not. Maybe they opt to go Tre Johnson with Bub and Bilal. But I don't know. Like, don't they need a little bit of rebounding out there? Not if you're trying to lose. Good point, Dan's also brain. I'm not adding Justin Champagnie right now, but I'd love a good reason to do so. So I'm always looking for it. I just don't think we need to do it yet, especially not after kind of a quieter ball game. So Wizards in the post-CJ McCollum universe, the current Trae Young era. Alex Sarr, yes. Keyshawn George, yes. Bilal head-to-head and Bub head-to-head. And let's keep a really close watch on Tre Johnson and Justin Champagnie. Philly got Kelly Oubre back last night. He played 20 minutes on a pretty strict games cap and didn't do a whole lot, but shouldn't expect a ton after missing almost 2 months. Quentin Grimes is in a little bit of trouble. He did score 16 points, so a decent enough ball game here. But Oubre is probably going to take some of his stuff where, Paul George, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, those guys are not going to lose out. So you got like bench minutes and Dominic Barlow's starting spot that are still kind of up for grabs. Could Oubre take that power forward spot? Yeah, it's possible. Or shift Paul George up to a sort of a small power forward. That's definitely on the table. But the Sixers are getting healthy, and that's going to be sort of subtraction by addition. I picked up Kelly Oubre in 1 or 2 spots. I think it's going to take him, I would guess somewhere in the neighborhood of like 3 to 5 games to get ramped up here. And even once he's fully ramped, is there going to be enough usage for him to actually be startable? I feel like the answer is probably not, but I'm adding him. Sixers have a bunch of ultra injury-prone guys, so there's certainly opportunity still floating around there. We can call Oubre a speculative ad for now. Toronto lost Brandon Ingram to a thumb thing. We don't have a ton of information on it yet. It kind of felt like a matter of time before something went wrong for Ingram. He'd been surprisingly healthy so far this year. I think he played in every single game up to this point. Well, now he still has. But I'm assuming he's going to miss a little bit of time. He has been a bit of a disappointment in that his percentages haven't been good as expected. He's been much better in 8-cat than 9, which is something we talked about before the season started. Like, he's a sneaky, bad 9-cat, decent 8-cat, weirdly high turnover guy. But hopefully it's not a long absence. No one really mattered after Ingram went down. Jamal Shead got a couple extra minutes. Jacoby Walter started the second half, but who cares? The thing from an ads standpoint, obviously the Brandon Ingram news is the biggest part of this game, but the second biggest thing is that Collin Murray-Boyles has seemingly kind of taken over the starting center spot over the last week from Sandro Mamukelashvili. But Jakob Poeltl is also getting closer. So you've got three centers to think about with Toronto. You got Poeltl, who just has had a horrible injury-plagued season so far. It just feels like it's that year for him. Sandro, who puts up pretty good fantasy numbers when he gets the playing time. But suddenly the Raptors are like, wait a minute, we need a little bit of defense and a little bit of rebounding out there. And Sandro is not that. So they went Murray-Boyles lately, and he posted a low-scoring game, but 15 boards and a steal. And when he plays 32 minutes if you look at sort of the game log, it's usually a block, maybe a hair more if he really is going to get minutes in the 30s. And I'm pretty pro Murray-Boyles after this ball game and after seeing the way the Raptors are changing what they're doing. The downside, of course, here is when Poeltl comes back, this whole thing goes up in flames. So it might not have the world's longest shelf life. I picked him up in a couple of spots where I needed a center, even if it was for a short-term thing. And we can move on if we hear about Sandro starting or if we hear about Poeltl coming back. The Hornets side. So look, actually the Hornets have been not that terrible lately. Their defense in particular has been quite a bit better. And it doesn't hurt that they're actually like borderline healthy. They're 4 games out of a play-in spot. And I think they're going to try to go for it. There's just sort of nothing left to try to tank for. This team's been in tank mode for half a decade. They are obviously missing Ryan Kalkbrenner, but Moussa Diabate is a great replacement add while Diabate's out. Mason Plumlee's out for a while. And then, you got Kneppel, Ball, Bridges, and then Brandon Miller when he's back. He missed this ball game, and maybe they would have won it. They had old Brandon Miller, but they didn't. So just enjoy the Diabate. There's no real pickup for someone. I know Colin Sexton had 22 points, but I very much don't care. Spencer Jones left early in this Denver game. The Nuggets it's actually kind of amazing that Denver is 25-12 with the number of injuries they've had. I'm curious. They're in a little bit of like a we'll be okay without Jokic kind of thing. It's going to catch up with them at some point here over the next 3 weeks. But Jamal Murray, wow, 22, 8, and 17. He's having a brilliant fantasy season. He's number 13 in 9 category leagues. Again, like we talked about it before, we pretty much nailed the early rounds and the late rounds. It was that like late mid area where I pooped down my leg, like the 8th round. 7th, 8th rounds, we screwed up everywhere. 1 through 6, great. 9 to 13, great. 7 and 8, absolutely terrible. I don't know why I totally mucked those 2 rounds, but Jamal Murray, he was one of the guys I told you guys was an amazing 4th and then even 3rd round pick when he started moving up the board, and he's crushing. Peyton Watson shot the free throw terribly here, but everything else was great, so keep him going. Aaron Gordon is an ad as he gets ramped up. I believe Christian Brown is also an ad, even though he's like, it's possible that Brown actually needs Jokic to be useful, but by the time Jokic comes back, some of the other wings might be back. I'm going to say go ahead and add Brown anyway. I think he can do enough to be fantasy relevant here in the short term. And then Tim Hardaway Jr., Zeke Naji, Bruce Brown, all these guys are stream level dudes only. Boston, Anthony Simons, 6 out of 9 shooting. He's on a hot run right now. He's only a guy you're playing if you need threes, really. Miyash Keita, 20 rebounds. How about that? Rebounding menace in this ball game, but it wasn't enough. Again, this starting unit for the Celtics is playing really poorly for weird little stretches lately. It's the darndest thing. It's like they went on this big run to get up near the top of the Eastern Conference, and then a couple of ball games, like 2 of the last 3, the starters have just been asleep at the wheel. But they're fine. I mean, the Celtics are obviously going to be fine. Peyton Pritchard, good. Derek White, good. Didn't shoot the ball well, though. That's been the story. Jaylen Brown, inefficient, but, you got what you got. As far as the rest of these guys go, like, you're not going to pick up Luka Garza, Simons, Hauser, Walsh, Hugo Gonzalez, all of those guys to me are different levels of streamer, where the one right now, the streamer du jour, is Simons. But it's been basically all of those guys at some point. So just know that the next one is coming. One guy cools, another guy gets warm, and they'll just keep rotating them through. No Trey Murphy for the Pels in last night's ball game, which is a bummer because he's number 15 in all of fantasy basketball. He's dealing with some ankle stuff and back stuff, and I don't know. It just kind of felt like they were like, screw this, give him a break. Don't care about Micah Peavy. Nice line, though. Not going to pick him up. Jordan Poole as a starter is a play in all categories or in all leagues. Jordan Poole as a bench gunner, I believe, is only a play in head-to-head leagues. You're not picking up Carlo Matkovic. Obviously, you're not picking up Bryce McGowens or Eve Missy or Jordan Hawkins or whatever. Like, this team is blah. I got a lot of questions lately about DeJounte Murray, and I'll tell you the same thing I told you right from the very first day of draft season. Don't draft a dude who's like a top 50 guy even when he plays and isn't expected to play until February. Now you're close enough where you could probably stash him. I don't know when he's going to come back, though. He's going to pop up, and he's going to play a little bit, and then they're going to slowly ramp him up. Obviously, when DeJounte Murray is healthy, he definitely needs to be on rosters. And now that we're 2.5 months into the season, he certainly should be stashed. But 2.5 months ago, it was just dead weight. You're not going to get full bore DeJounte Murray, maybe ever this season, but I would doubt that you get full bore DeJounte anytime before like post All-Star break. You might get ramp up DeJounte in there. Jeremiah Fears, you should still play him in head-to-head leagues, but barely. Zion, obviously, the punt stuff. Like, this team is... It's boring. Let's do Atlanta. I got to pick up the pace a little bit. It's taking too long. But Atlanta's not a team that we can gloss over because they just traded Trae Young. The good news is we've pretty much seen the Hawks without Trae Young, and it's this. Now we just have to... Well, normally they have Onyeka Okongwu. Now we just have to add CJ McCollum to the mix. So what does that do? Probably one of two things. McCollum either takes Zachary Reese-O'Shea's starting job or he becomes the primary bench gunner / veteran leader. Either way, he's likely to do less on Atlanta than he did in Washington. So if we're going to look for who like takes the hit in this Trae Young trade, CJ's probably the main name that should come up because he's a guy that was getting started in head-to-head leagues before the trade. Not roto leagues, or he shouldn't have. He's like top 125. But head-to-head leagues, he was a not pretty good. He was a palatable punt field goal or punt steals guard. I don't know if he's top 100 even in minus one ranks going forward. I don't know. I mean, you're going to hold to see what happens, but my guess is that in a couple weeks, those of you that have McCollum, and I have him exactly 0 places, those of you that have McCollum will probably end up starting to drop in a couple of weeks, but you should at least see it through a little bit beforehand. He will probably also take a little bit from the bucket of Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He'll probably take a little bit from the bucket of Dyson Daniels. He will certainly take from the buckets of Vit Krejci and Zachary Reese-O'Shea and Luke Kennard, although no one really cared much about Kennard anyway. The guys that I think are going to be totally fine in this are Okongwu, Jalen Johnson, and then if he can slowly continue to get himself healthy, Kristaps Porzingis, who looked a little closer to himself in this ballgame. We're seeing baby steps of progress. He was talking, I think, before this game, I'm remembering the chronology of it right, about how he's feeling good. They've got a system. He wants to get his minutes up into the mid-20s, or he was talking about, like, just getting his minutes up. I think their target for him is probably 24, 25. I don't think they're going to go over that. But Porzingis can be a top 75 guy in 25 minutes a game. So every reason to hang on there if you have him. I only have him in one Roto Games Cap League. Was always a guy you should have been avoiding in head-to-head anyway. And that's where I'm at with Atlanta. Obviously, Mo Gay had a big ball game here, filling in for Okongwu. You're not picking him up. I think Onyeka will be... Onyeka? Talk too fast. I think Okongwu will probably be back for the next ball game, even if he's not. There's really no guarantee that Moget will put up decent numbers. Sometimes he starts and plays like 8 minutes and then they go a different direction. So pass. Clippers, 4 guys at fantasy value. Zubats, Collins, Leonard, Harden. Good to see John Collins continue to put up nice numbers, even with Zubats around. I remain a little bit worried about what Collins is going to do over the rest of this season with Zubats back. But Derek Jones Jr. is out for another month and a half. So John certainly got the runway to be useful. And he's been good for a month. So keep it going. He also has 64-87 splits over that month. So it almost doesn't matter what Collins does. Percentage has been so good. Knicks are relatively boring. Deuce McBride got the start, had 16 points and 4 threes. So Mitchell Robinson had been doing a lot of the starting with the Knicks going a little bit bigger. This game, they went a little bit smaller. Try to spread the Clippers out a bit. I don't know for sure that this is going to be the lineup for the Knicks in their next ball game. I think there's a matchup thing going on. Deuce is going to play high 20s in minutes with Josh Hart out, so that's something. But typically, he's just points and threes. Like, the fact that he got 4 assists here, a steal and a block, was a nice bump up for McBride. But he's a streamer because he's good at 2 categories. That's why. Orlando, this was kind of boring. Noah Penda had 13, 11, and 3 defensive stats, but you're not going to talk me into that one. They have too many bench guys that they hot hand on a game-to-game basis. Brooklyn side is a little bit more interesting. Day'Ron Sharpe continued to start even with Nick Claxton back from his personal absence. But forget the fact that he started. How about the fact that those guys actually played? Well, let's see. How many minutes was this game? 450? Yeah, I guess they split the center minutes. But how about the fact that Sharpe got 30 and Claxton got 23? That feels not heavily notable, but lightly notable. I still think Claxton comes back and gets his starting job. But if we could get Day'Ron Sharpe even up to like 22 minutes, he'd be worth grabbing. We saw last year that Claxton didn't even really rest during tank season. They played him until like the last week and a half. So I'd love to tell you that Day'Ron Sharpe is a guy that you should be stashing right now, but I don't actually believe that to be true. I mean, I think he's worth playing as long as he's starting, so we'll keep him on the burger board for the moment, but he probably peters back from burger board to streamer as opposed to stash, unless the Nets do something very different this year. Because remember, Claxton, he played through February, played through March last year. Like, it was really April when Clax got shut down. Cam Thomas is a head-to-head play only. Noah Clowney is a head-to-head play only. Good to see him get the defensive stats back up here. Ego Dielman is the stash guy on this team. And then, who knows what's going on with Michael Porter Jr. I still think he's a sell high on, not on the fact that he's like doing anything completely unsustainable. It's just that I think he probably gets moved or rested. He's been a brilliant play so far. And he's missed 6-7 ball games, which is pretty good. That's like 20, a little over 20% of his team's games. We were expecting a much higher number. But, the Nets, they're 11 and 23. They got to get worse. There are too many teams that are bad right around them that they could try to pass in the tankathon. They need to. In any event. So I think Porter either gets moved or you start to see more rest days or whatever it is. So see what you can get for him. If you can get like a top 60 guy, I would probably do it. Top 60 guy that's actually going to play down the stretch. If that makes sense. And not one that's like flash in the pan top 60 or, top 60 because he's at 0.8 turnovers. I want like a legit number 55 kind of guy for Michael Porter coming back. But Dielman is an active stash type for head-to-head. He should probably just be on head-to-head rosters at this point. Clowney should be as well. Sharpe, you should be starting while he starts, and then let's just sort of... And Thomas head-to-head as well. Phoenix, Grayson Allen, 21 minutes, so no big change there. They'll slowly bring him up to speed. I would start him in head-to-head leagues. I wouldn't start him yet in Roto. I know he had a better shooting game here, but like the rest of his stuff hasn't quite come back yet. In the meantime, Phoenix is kind of in a start-the-starters posture. Royce O'Neal still burgering. Mark Williams, quietly decent despite the injury stuff. Dylan Brooks, punt field goal, terrific. Everything else, kind of meh. Colin Gillespie, the league is adjusting a little bit to him, but he's still a start. And then obviously Devin Booker, who I think is a pretty solid buy low. I can't imagine it could be a whole lot worse. Grizzlies were without Ja Morant again, and Cam Spencer filled in admirably again. And that's kind of the story with the Grizz. Jock Landale, I told you after his 19-9 game that a bad one was coming. I didn't think it was going to be this bad. Hold on Santi Aldama. I don't know why he's completely disappeared all of a sudden now, but I'm hoping that he bounces back. So hold on Aldama, start JJJ and Cam Spencer. When Jock comes back, he'll probably punt Spencer back into being not particularly useful, but we'll deal with that when we get there. Utah and OKC, always a good time when Utah games go into overtime. So you're going to have a bunch of guys that get fantasy stuff. No Ace Bailey. Partway through this game, he played 10 minutes, actually, and then that was it. Walter Clayton actually closed this game after Nurkic fouled out. He's a guy to put on your stash board. I don't know that you need to get him yet because we're still 4 weeks out. I think to the day, actually, 4 weeks out from the trade deadline. But Clayton's a guy that you might see his role pop up a little more down the stretch. Nurk, obviously, you guys know me. I far prefer him in a punt build. But then you're going to get some rest days. So it's this weird, like, can I deal with that? I've decided I don't really want to deal with Nurk stuff, although he has been putting up some pretty juicy lines over the last 2 weeks. I'll admit, missing out on those is a little bit frustrating. But I also missed out on the terrible couple of weeks before that, where he was shooting like 32% at the free throw line and single-handedly losing categories. Isaiah Collier, I'm going to downgrade him from specialist down to light streamer. Blech. Is that it? Did we cover Utah? I think so. Okay, see, I'm over the Thunder from a streaming standpoint. Just play Shea and Chet and Jalen Williams and Hartenstein when he comes back. And don't mess around with Aaron Wiggins, who I know was fine here, and AJ Mitchell was fine, and Lou Dort was kind of fine, and Cason Wallace got his 4 steals. Just treat all those guys as streamers. Don't try to catch lightning in a bottle. Treat them what they are. Get them for a 3-game and 4-night stretch, and then move on. Okay, great. Lakers were a little bit too shorthanded. Not that they weren't going to lose this game anyway, potentially, but like it was Luka Doncic and sort of Jake LaRavia, and everybody else was pretty horrid. The Lakers shot 39.5%. They're the top field goal percent team in the NBA. Luka missed a bunch of his free throws. He had 7 turnovers. I know his line was great, but like how he got there was that he had to try to do everything, and that's too hard because the Spurs could key in on one dude. It's kind of amazing that he did what he did while the Spurs were throwing every single body they had at him. That's the magic of Luka, but like Lakers on a back-to-back, apparently not going to be a particularly pretty thing. Jake LaRavia should be streamed until Rui Hachimura comes back. I would assume we see LeBron back for the next one. He basically just said he was going to take himself a 41-year-old rest day, and nothing changes for the Lakers. Okay, great. Keldon Johnson always lights up the Lakers. I don't know what that's about, but it doesn't change the fact that he's a streamer. Wemby, the Spurs were talking about how they're not really intent on getting him into the mid-30s in minutes anytime soon. So this is a slow ramp-up for Victor. As long as the Spurs keep winning enough ball games, they don't really have to change that. He's fallen, by the way, to number 5 in 9-cat leagues because of all of this artificial minute depression stuff going on. And I'm feeling smarter and smarter for yelling at all of you guys to take Shea number 2 behind Jokic. And Shea... Has Shea caught Jokic in totals value yet? Not quite, but we're about 2 games away from Shea being the number 1 player by totals. All right. Luke Cornett is still lightly streamable. I don't think I'd play him in most formats, but, you'll get a couple of big man stats out of him if you really need it. The Spurs should be a slumping De'Aaron Fox. He'll be fine. Wemby, obviously. Stephon Castle, certainly. Although, again, the Castle stuff, let me switch it back to per game value, what I'm looking at here. Castle is number 164 in 9 category leagues. And it's so easy to forget the fact that he does have one really bad category, and it's free throws. Well, turnovers, too. So 9 cat, 8 cat, turnovers is his worst. Castle's number 86 in 8 cat. He's been very good. But if you care at all about turnovers, he's actually kind of hurting you almost more than he's helping. Love to pile up numbers, though. If you're just game hunting, then he's been great. I will also add, by the way, Julian Champagnie, who, wasn't as great in this ball game. He didn't shoot the ball well, but he played 33 and a half minutes again. It seems like Champagnie is just a full burger guy with Devin Vassell on the shelf. So, I wasn't sure exactly what to make of that before, but I think you can make Julian Champagnie a full ad as opposed to just a streamer until Devin Vassell comes back, and then those guys go back to kind of splitting those minutes. So just to recap on the Spurs, Castle and head-to-head, Fox, Champagnie, and Wemby, all formats right now. Keldon, Cornette, Harper, Barnes. Who am I forgetting? Anybody else? Sohan? Barely. Not really. Streams only. And when I say stream, that means head-to-head stream. And only if you need their particular stats. I told y'all Bobby Portis was on his way down. Oh, I forgot to do my mid-show promo, and we're at the 31-minute mark. Guys, please check out our friends over at FanDuel and the FanDuel Sportsbook. They are our proud presenting sponsor. But I have another favor to ask of you mid-show. Please go thumb up our trade deadline program. The link is in the show description. I don't know a better way to get it to you guys. But just quickly, if you could, the 1,000 to 2,000 of you that are watching shows still here halfway through a season, I know the war of attrition here on the NBA. Please, I beg of you, stop what you're doing. Scroll, if you're on your phone or computer, whatever, scroll to the show description, click into it, and the first thing after the actual description of the episode is a link to our trade deadline show. Click it, hit the thumbs up button on it, and then come on back. That's all I'm asking. Please thumb that up. We want to get that trade deadline show a ton of pre-likes. I don't know if that's a real thing, but I'm calling it a real thing. So that way when we actually launch it and YouTube's algorithm is like, oh crap, this show has 1,000 likes already, it's going to drop into everybody's feed. Because that trade deadline morning is a morning where we reach a lot of new people. That's like one of our biggest opportunities here at Old Man Squad, to reach new eyeballs and earballs. So please, with your help, I'd like that to be. And the nice thing is, too, if you're just liking it, you're not telling the people in your league. You're telling, like, random algorithm-based sidebar people across the universe. So odds are you're not giving your actual opponents an advantage. You're giving some goober and I don't know where. Still getting over this lingering cough. So thank you for that. Thank you for thumbing up the trade deadline video. Thank you for signing up for memberships, those of you that continue to do so. That's going to get us through the dead seasons here on Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. Again, if you've got 99 cents, I would very much appreciate you guys signing up. You can ask me questions through YouTube that way. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Follow on Twitter at Dan Vespris. Let's finish up. Giannis came out and said that he hopes to retire a member of the Milwaukee Bucks, so maybe nothing's happening there. And if that's the case, you can go ahead and finish dropping Bobby Portis, as I told you to do a week ago when Giannis came back, and you can just play the rest of these dudes. Ryan Rollins, play. Miles Turner, play. KPJ, play. Giannis, play. Kuzma, AJ Green, Gary Trent, Bobby Portis. These guys are streams. The Warriors. Okay, so we know Steph and Jimmy, those guys are going to do their stuff. Draymond is going to be barely rosterable if you're punting, whatever. And Al Horford actually had a pretty interesting ball game here, but 19 minutes, no. The guy we need to focus on with the Warriors is DeAnthony Melton. Because he's good at fantasy basketball. He's good at reality basketball, too. He is barely rostered, but he scored 22 points in this game, and that's going to change his rostership number. He's going to start to pop his way onto some teams. He's played 25 minutes in 3 consecutive ball games. He's played 23 minutes or more in 6 consecutive ball games. He has, to no one's surprise, sat out the front end of a pair of back-to-backs. Over that 24-minute per game stretch, he's averaging 12 points, 4 boards, 1.5 assists, 1.7 steals, half a block, and 2 3-pointers on 46-78 splits, which puts him right around the edge of the top 100. And that's always been the case for Melton. When he plays 24 minutes, he gets near the edge of the top 100. There have been plenty of stretches in his career where he's gotten up near 30 minutes, and he is a dynamite fantasy player. What I don't know, and what I'm trying to figure out, and watching the Warriors is about as confusing as any team when it comes to rotations, is do the Warriors want to get Melton up to 26, 27, 28 minutes a ball game? Do they want him to be kind of the 4th or 5th guy? Or is it, as it's been lately, is he the king of the others? The others being Brandon Pajemski, Will Richard, Quentin Post, Guy Santos, Buddy Hield when he actually gets to play, Moses Moody. Moses Moody right now is kind of the king of the others. He played 27.5 minutes. If those two guys flip-flop, let's say Melton takes Moody's starting spot and gets 27 or 28 minutes, now you're talking about a guy with top 75 fantasy potential. He's not going to play in back-to-backs, as we just mentioned, which makes him a tougher head-to-head ad. Because if you go through, we can look at the Warriors' schedule real quick here on the show and just make sure we know what's coming up. They're in an every other day stretch right now, which is great, actually, for Melton, because they'll play tomorrow, Friday, Sunday, the following Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. They do have a back-to-back January 19th and 20th. They don't have another one, I think, until after the All-Star break. So there's only one scheduled rest day for Melton coming up. But that also means that after this 4-game week, it's 3-3-3-3, which I don't know if that's enough when you're thinking about a guy who's, sitting at the edge of the top 100. You'd rather get a guy who's, top 120 with 4 games than a top 100 guy with 3. So Roto, it's a little bit of a different discussion because you can just sort of sit through whatever you want without playing him and see what his minutes do. With head-to-head, you kind of have to just be okay with the fact that he's playing every other day, and you're not going to get a great scheduling stretch from him at all this year. That's a tough sell. But if he starts to get up near top 75, if he gets those extra 2 to 3 minutes per ball game, then a 3-game week is still very playable. Top 100 3-game week is meh when your waiver wire top 120 guys with 4 gamers are out there. Or, your streamables with 3 games in 4 nights or 4 games in 6 nights or whatever. But if he's top 75, you no longer are thinking about streaming that roster slot. So we are legitimately 2 to 3 minutes of everyday minute per game number away on Melton from him jumping from barely head-to-head streamable to a guy you just set it and forget it. And that's a small gap when he's been as good as he's been. So I think, and this is like tepid, but I think it's probably time to add Melton. I think. You could do it tomorrow if you wanted to because he's not playing tonight. But I think it's time to add Melton in most formats. Certainly Roto, maybe head-to-head. But, we're like, if he hits 26 minutes or gets a starting job, he's going to go flying off the waiver wire. And we have a chance to just be a little bit out in front of it. Because throughout his career, he's also been kind of a plus-minus darling. Not that his particular group was like the ultimate here. With the Warriors, the plus-minus guy is Steph. But Melton was a +4. He was part of a unit that was winning. in this ball game. Not as much as the Brandon Podziemski minutes for whatever reason, but like the Moses Moody minutes were break even. The Draymond minutes were -10. Does that ruin the Warriors bench if they shift him around? That's another thing that they're working through. So I think I'm going to add him in a few roto spots. I think I'm probably going to wait a little bit longer in head-to-head, but I ain't far. Is this the last ball game? Last ball game. Houston. Steven Adams was great. 7 and 11, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 3 out of 6 from the field. Only missed 1 free throw because he only attempted 2. And that, of course, is the great Steven, I guess it is the great White Hope. The Steven Adams story, which is, can we avoid him taking free throws? Because if we can avoid him taking free throws, he can get you, 1.5 steals, 1.1, 1.2 steals in center starters minutes. He can get you around a little under a block, probably. He'll get you 10 plus rebounds, but he's a career, mid 50s to 60% foul shooter. So if he ends up there, it's going to turn ugly. For instance, over the last week, he's averaging 30.5 minutes a game, but he's shooting 17% at the free throw line. 7.5 points, 11 boards, 3 assists, 1.5 steals, 1 block. But that free throw number is single-handedly losing a category for teams this week. I think he's like 1 for 6, right? It's a risk. The great Vince Miracle has once told me, you got to risk it to get the biscuit. I don't know how badly I want the Steven Adams biscuit. Although apparently he's a very nice guy. But I don't think I can risk losing free throws for a handful of rebounds. Not worth it to me. He's added in a lot of places, but woof, that free throw number is going to be rough. Hey, look at Amen Thompson getting 2 blocked shots. We always knew you could do it, buddy. We always knew you could do it. Quietly, by the way, Thompson, Amen, is up to number 45 on the season. I don't feel like anybody's noticed the fact that he's been really good. He's top 20 over the last month, 19, 8, and 5. Field goal percents come up. Still isn't really blocking any shots, but he's been great. It's finally happening. How good is Tari Eason these days, too? Yummy Tari Eason. Portland, I have 0 notes on this one. This was like love. Toumani Camara shot the ball well, which is all I've been praying for as I go to bed at night. Please, Toumani, don't shoot 41% from the field and 67% at the free throw line. And look at that. 5 out of 10 from the field and 2 for 2 at the line. 1 game doth not a season fix, but it is a viable step in the right direction for a guy who just has not been able to throw a stone in the ocean. Over the last week, by the way, if you're wondering why I was so high on Camara this year, over the last 4 games, he's shooting 47% from the field and 80% at the free throw line on 11 shots a game, and he's top 75. Without many steals, by the way. Everything is where it's supposed to be, except the damn percentages. He's having an awfully down year in both of them. Please get it back together. Denny Avdia was a guy that we targeted in drafts, knowing that turnovers are going to be an issue. He's number 47 in 9-cat, and wait for it. You guys want to know his 8-cat rank? 26. That's a big jump when you're in the 4th round to go 4th round to like end 2nd, early 3rd. 4 turnovers a game will do that to you. But good year for Denny. Klingon is on a nice little run these days. He's up to number 66 on the season. You guys remember, during the run-up, I was like, I'm a big Blazers fan this year. Not Jeremy Grant. Drew Holiday was the other one that I liked, but of course he's been out for 2 months after an unreal start. I feel I'm like so close to feeling smart and then also very far away from feeling smart. But Donovan Klingon's minutes have gotten up to 30 now. And, other than the fact that he's on a particularly bad free throw shooting binge at 44%, yeesh. Klingon's been awesome. 2nd rounder if you're punting free throw, but I'm not. So I can't take credit for that. In any event, 12-game card, 45 minutes. I knew it was going to be a longer one. Thanks for bearing with us. You know what I'm going to do here before we go is take a look at this bad boy. Here's a recap. This is a tweet that I put out this morning. Fantasy basketball recap in 1 tweet. Let's do the Ace Ventura, Ray Finkel thing. I'm not going to be able to get through it, but I'm going to need a few deep breaths. But here we go. Ready? YouTubers, you guys can see it on your screen. I'll make it bigger even. Here you go. You want it extra chunky? There you go. Who likes their recaps and soups? Nice and chunky. Here we go. Tre Jones, 1 burger. Daniss Jenkins, 1 burger. But I think Kate is probably coming back. Isaiah Stewart, 2 burgers. Paul Reed, 1 burger. Trae Young is now a wizard. Bub Carrington is a -1 head-to-head ad. Kelly Oubre, speculative ad. Brandon Ingram down with hashtag thumb stuff. Collin Murray-Boyles is taking over the #1 spot with Jakob Poeltl out, and he's a 1 burger guy. I didn't make it. Second breath. Musa Diabate, 2 burger play. Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown should be added while they ramp up. CJ McCollum as a Hawk is going to take a hit. Day'Ron Sharpe is a hold while we figure out what's going on with the center rotation in Brooklyn. Cam Spencer is a 1 burger play for John Morant. Walter Clayton is into stash discussions, but I don't think we need to pick him up yet. Jake LaRavia is a burger for Rui Hachimura. I am very close to adding DeAnthony Melton, and Steven Adams is a free throw risky burger for Alperen Şengün. That is your lightning round recap, a 45-minute episode. Sorry for going so long, but also you're welcome. Because what are you doing that's so important? Hayak, hayak. Follow on Twitter at Dan Besbris, DanBesbris. If you make it this far in a show, please become our 1 new sub. That is the 2026 motto. 1 new sub. The Old Man Squad motto. YouTubers, give me that 1 new sub. That's all I want. Just 1 of you to hit the button. iTunes, Spotify, same thing. Just 1 of you hit that subscribe button so you can join us the rest of the way. Please click over to that trade deadline show as well if you've made it this far. I really do need you guys. We're at like 50-something. That I was hoping we'd be a little higher by now, but make a push. Let today be the push day. Thanks again to FanDuel and the Believe Network. Thanks to those of you that are donating 99 cents. Appreciate you guys. I'll do another pod at some point later on today, but it'll probably not air until late tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. So see you when I see ya. Woo!